So the first thing to do is to figure out to whom you're sending out a letter. I know that there are a lot of services out there that can connect you to people, like a pen pal exchange. If you'd like to use one of them, I recommend getting a PO box or something, because giving your home address to strangers isn't the smartest idea. Personally, I like to send letters to people that I already know. The people I tend to correspond with regularly tend to be from college or university that I don't really talk to regularly, but definitely want to keep tabs on. Writing letters provides a really great way to catch up and give a summary of what's going on in life, so everyone gets the highlights and you retain a sense of closeness. The way I like to ask people is just doing it directly. Sometimes I ask in person when we're catching up, but I've also just messaged people online something like, "Hey, do you want to be pen pals?" and seeing where it goes. Though you can definitely find other ways to phrase it or sneak it into the conversation if you're a different kind of person than I am. Not all your attempts will be successful, and that's totally fine. You really shouldn't take it personally, because the kind of people you want as pen pals are the ones who will be enthusiastic about the idea to begin with. Writing letters isn't for everyone, and there are a lot of other ways to communicate with people, and you might be surprised at who's more inclined than not. Okay. So what do you need to send out a letter? I keep a box with some random things I use, like stamps, my baby pictures, pictures of my puppy, and stationery sets. Cards are also great to write letters in, but if you don't have access to those things, you can definitely just use things like plain envelopes and any kind of paper like memo pads or paper you cut out from journals or craft paper. I actually keep a folder with a lot of scrap paper for writing smaller things in. Also, I like to use postcards sometimes. I have a lot that are hidden in this cute box, like this book of postcards that I got at the MoMA, and postcards that came with the box, and these vintage postcards I got from Etsy, and another book of postcards from the artist Nara Yoshitomo, who's one of my favorites. It's nice to have markers on hand to doodle on the envelopes or paper. My favorites are these Tombow markers that are kind of expensive, but it is the first thing that I saved up for when I came to grad school, so you can see where my priorities are at. I also have this infamous box of Snoopy stickers, and a bigger box with a random assortment of washi tapes, eye tattoos, and miscellaneous stickers and envelopes, things like that. I also used to collect vintage National Geographic magazines to collage with when I was in high school, so sometimes I decorate my letters with pictures from here. Some of their photo shoots, especially of people, can be problematic, but they have good nature shots at the very least. What do you actually do to write a letter? So the first one I'm going to show you is a very simple, affordable, and easily replicable way of sending a letter. For the paper, I'm just using some blank sheets that I'm tearing from this notebook, and I'm cutting away the rough edges. It really doesn't have to be perfect. I usually like to use a marker to write the dear and the name of my friend before writing the actual letter with pen. It adds a cute contrast. Also, remember to date the letter. I usually do this at the top right corner, so when your pal looks at this in their old age, they'll be able to know when it's from, because they probably won't be able to remember otherwise. If you're working with paper this blank, it can be nice to add some design to it. I just copied a simple doodle onto it and colored it in. As for the content of the letter, you can basically write whatever you want. If you can summarize 2 or 3 things that are going on in your personal life, that's usually the most interesting thing to include, no matter how boring your life actually is. If you bought anything lately, if you ate anything lately, things like that. You can also talk about current events and ask what the pen pal thinks about those. Reading recommendations, movie recommendations, really, anything that comes to mind. And no matter how long or short the letter is, it's going to be a treat to receive it, so there's really no need to overthink it. I also put a border around the edges of the paper. Honestly, this is all supererogatory. It's totally fine to keep it simple. I just personally like these touches because it adds more visual interest and makes it look like you put in just a little bit more effort, which is nice. If you have stickers, those are also nice to stick onto the page for the same reasons, and yeah, more decorations. So for those of you who haven't sent a letter before, envelopes can sometimes be tricky, especially for letter sets like these with fancy envelopes with vertical alignments. Filling those in just like that is not up to code and they will not send your letter, so you need to do something about it. I had these bigger stickers that I just stuck on an envelope like this, and I put the address of the recipient here at the bottom right and my address at the top left. Going back to the letter I've been working on for my friend Gia, who is always first and sometimes the only person to comment on my videos. Love you, Gia. Here is an envelope that I made at some point with some leftover wrapping paper. The paper isn't great to write on, so what I'm doing is cutting out some memo paper and gluing it onto the envelope so I can just write on the address here. So again, the address of the recipient is on the bottom right, and the address of the sender, aka you, is on the top left, and the top right is where you should place your stamp. Another thing that's fun to send along with letters is a playlist recommendation. So I'm just taking a scrap of paper from the folder I showed you earlier, cutting it into a manageable rectangle, and writing the names of some songs I've been enjoying lately. I've also included a packet of tea and a mini postcard with a cute graphic on it. Sometimes I include small eye tattoos or stickers or washi tape samples. Then I get some double-sided tape and seal the envelope to send it. I recommend really making sure that things are sealed because just using washi tape on the surface can sometimes result in your letter falling out, which has happened to me in the past and it's kind of a bummer. To decorate the envelope, sometimes I like to use stamps. All my stamps are Snoopy themed, as you can see, so it's just a matter of choosing which one. I like this one for today. Because I have regular pen pals, I usually end up saving a few of their letters and writing back in one fell swoop. I keep my letters here in this little basket I have on my desk. I'll just take the letter or card and reply to it in real time as I read it. So sometimes I have letters that I don't read for a month or two, and then this is the time to read them for me. This is really therapeutic, and it's similar to journaling in that it can encourage you to reflect on the current state of your life, but it also has the benefits of being social and allowing you to communicate these thoughts as well, and responding to others. So what I really like about snail mail as opposed to things like texting or messaging is that it really doesn't matter how long your response time is, because there's no notification or pressure to respond right away. Nobody sees that you've received it. People generally understand that you take your time with these things and you're responding when it feels right to do so. And when you do, it's clear that you set aside the time to think about this person, and there's just something really nice about that thought. So I think I'd recommend this especially for people who are a little bit more anxious about those faster forms of communication, who feel a lot of pressure to respond quickly. Even though that doesn't really describe me and my mental states, I still feel like this absence of imminent pressure is really wonderful, and that's one of the things I like the most about writing letters.
저기 휴대.
좋아.
Okay, so now that the letters are written, it's time to send them off. I actually had footage of me putting the letters in the mailbox, but it's nowhere to be found. I probably deleted it by accident. So I guess this is where I'm going to leave you. I'm sorry for the anticlimactic ending, but I hope this video was still helpful. Thanks so much for watching.